First contact fallout. The UVA's Aegis hung in the void, its dark hull absorbing, rather than reflecting light from the nearby star. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge, her tall frame silhouetted against the tactical display as she studied the alarming situation developing before them. What should have been a routine check on the Nova Lumina colony had become something else entirely. Sensors confirmed 23 alien vessels in blockade formation around Nova Lumina, reported Lieutenant Commander Hiroshi Takeda, his voice calm despite the tension filling the bridge. Configuration unknown. No match in our database. Captain Reyes nodded, her dark eyes narrowing as she analyzed the display. The alien ships formed a precise geometric pattern around the colony, their hulls gleaming with a metallic blue sheen that contrasted sharply with the darkness of space. Communications, any response to our hails? She asked. Communications Officer Aisha Mbiki shook her head. Nothing, Captain. I've tried all standard protocols and frequencies. They're receiving, but they're not answering. Reyes crossed her arms, her expression thoughtful. The Aegis was humanity's most advanced warship, equipped with technology that most human colonies didn't even know existed. They had approached Nova Lumina under complete stealth, their advanced quantum displacement drive allowing them to slip through space without disturbing the fabric of reality in ways that conventional drives did. They should have been invisible to any known detection system. Status of the colony? Reyes asked. Life signs normal, replied Science Officer Dr. Leon Chen. Environmental systems functioning. No indication of hostilities or damage to the colony itself. It appears to be a blockade, not an attack. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Nova Lumina was a young colony, barely 5 years old, with a population of just over 10,000. It had no strategic value. No rare resources, nothing that would explain why an unknown alien species would blockade it. Captain. Takeda's voice cut through the silence, his tone now sharp with alarm. The alien vessels are changing formation. They've detected us. Reyes straightened, surprise flashing across her face. Impossible. Our stealth systems are operating at full capacity. Nevertheless, they've locked onto our position. Multiple vessels are breaking formation and moving to intercept. Tactical analysis, Reyes ordered, moving closer to the main display. Tactical Officer Major Dante Rodriguez responded immediately. Alien vessels are smaller than the Aegis but appear heavily armed. Energy readings suggest weapons powering up. They're moving to surround us in a standard encirclement pattern. Defensive posture, Reyes commanded. Shields at maximum. Weapon systems on standby, but do not target. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, preparing the ship for potential combat. The Aegis might be outmatched in numbers, but its technology was decades ahead of anything humanity had publicly deployed. Captain, we're receiving a transmission, Mbeki announced. Audio and visual. On screen, Reyes replied, straightening her uniform. The main view screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. It was vaguely reptilian, with iridescent scales and varying shades of blue and green. 4 golden eyes blinked independently of each other, and when it spoke, a row of sharp teeth flashed. Human vessel, the alien said, its voice translated by the ship's AI into a raspy, slightly metallic English. You have violated Krillian space. Your stealth technology is impressive, but ultimately futile. Surrender your vessel immediately or be destroyed. Reyes kept her expression neutral. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the United Earth ship Aegis. Nova Lumina is a recognized human colony in neutral space, according to galactic charters. There is no record of this region being claimed by any species. Please explain your presence and the blockade of our colony. The Krillian commander's eyes narrowed. Your colony encroaches on space that will soon be Krillian. We are expanding our territory. The humans on the planet may leave with what they can carry. The planet and its resources now belong to the Krillian Dominion. That directly violates multiple provisions of the Galactic Charter, Reyes countered. Nova Lumina was established legally, with proper registration and notification to all charter signatories. The Krillian Dominion does not recognize your charter, the alien replied dismissively. You have 1 hour to begin evacuation procedures for your colony. After that, we will remove them by force if necessary. Your warship will power down all systems and prepare to be boarded, or we will destroy it. The choice is yours. The screen went dark before Reyes could respond. Charming fellow, Rodriguez muttered. Reyes turned to face her senior officers. Options. We could jump away, get reinforcements, suggested Takeda. The nearest battle group is 3 days out at maximum speed. The colony doesn't have 3 days, Dr. Chen pointed out. And if we leave, we signal to these Krillians that humans can be intimidated. We could fight, Rodriguez said, his hand hovering over the tactical console. The Aegis carries enough firepower to at least damage their fleet, maybe create an opening for the colonists to evacuate. Reyes shook her head. 23-1 aren't odds I like, even with our technological edge, and any direct combat could put the colony at risk. She turned back to the tactical display, studying the Krillian formation. There's something not right here. A species we've never encountered before just happens to show up at one of our most remote colonies, with a fleet this size, and they can somehow detect us through our stealth system. You think this is a test? Asked XO Commander Valentina Sokolov, speaking for the first time. I think we're missing something, Reyes replied. Dr. Chen, I want a complete analysis of those ships, every detail, every energy signature. Major Rodriguez, run simulations on their likely combat capabilities based on what we can observe. And Mbeki, keep trying to access the Galactic Charter database. I want to know if anyone has registered any information about these Krillians. The officers moved to their tasks with quick efficiency. And what will we be doing while they work, Captain? Sokolov asked quietly. A slow smile spread across Reyes' face. We're going to show the Krillians something they don't expect from humans, which is restraint with a touch of audacity. For the next 40 minutes, the bridge of the Aegis buzzed with activity as the crew worked to understand their unexpected adversary. Dr. Chen's analysis revealed that the Krillian ships used an unusual form of propulsion that created detectable ripples in subspace, ripples that could, theoretically, detect the minute disturbances caused by the Aegis quantum displacement drive. They're not detecting our ship directly, Chen explained. They're detecting the absence where our drive bends space-time. It's like seeing a shadow when you can't see the object casting it. Can we modify our drive to avoid this detection? Reyes asked. Chen shook his head. Not without a complete refit. But I might be able to use this to our advantage. Meanwhile, Rodriguez's simulation suggested that while the Krillian ships were well armed, their weapons were primarily designed for direct confrontation, energy beams, and projectile weapons that required clear line of sight. No indication of advanced targeting or tracking systems, he reported. They rely on overwhelming force rather than precision. Most intriguingly, Mbeki had found a single reference to the Krillians in an obscure addendum to the Galactic Charter, not as signatories, but as a species noted for territorial disputes with the Exodian Confederation, a minor but technologically advanced species on the outer rim. The Exodians described them as aggressive but ultimately pragmatic, Mbeki read from her findings. They apparently backed down from several confrontations when the potential costs became too high. Reyes absorbed all this information, a plan forming in her mind. As the 1-hour deadline approached, she called her senior officers together. Here's what we're going to do, she said, outlining her strategy with precise clarity. When the Krillian commander appeared on screen again, exactly 1 hour after his ultimatum, he found Captain Reyes waiting calmly. Your time has expired, human, the Krillian stated. What is your decision? We reject your claims and your ultimatum, Reyes replied calmly. Nova Lumina remains under Earth jurisdiction. The Krillian's eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture that the ship's AI tentatively identified as amusement or perhaps contempt. Then you will be destroyed, he said simply. Before you act, Rice continued, "You should know that the Aegis is equipped with a quantum displacement drive that can target specific coordinates in spacetime. In simple terms, we can place a disruption field inside the engine core of any ship in your fleet without having to penetrate your shields or hull." The Krillian's expression didn't change, but there was a momentary pause before he responded. "A transparent bluff. No such technology exists." "Allow me to demonstrate," Rice said. She nodded to Dr. Chen, who had been working furiously at his console. The science officer pressed a series of commands, and across space, something remarkable happened. One of the smaller Krillian vessels at the edge of their formation suddenly shuddered. Its engines flickered, then stabilized, then flickered again. No weapons had been fired. No energy beam had connected the Aegis to the Krillian ship. It simply began to malfunction. A minor disruption to their antimatter containment field, Chen explained quietly to Reyes. Completely harmless but unmistakable to their engineers. They'll detect a 0.03% fluctuation in their core, enough to alarm them, but not enough to cause damage. The Krillian commander's four eyes widened, all focusing on Reyes simultaneously. "What have you done?" "Exactly what I said we could do," Reyes answered. "That was with the field set to minimum. At maximum, we could trigger a core breach in any or all of your vessels simultaneously. This is not possible," the Krillian insisted, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. "For most species, no, it's not," Reyes agreed. "But humans have been experimenting with quantum mechanics for longer than most realize." She leaned forward slightly. "Now, I suggest we discuss a more productive solution to this situation. One that doesn't involve unnecessary destruction on either side." The Krillian commander stared at her for a long moment, all four eyes unblinking. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed, the human way. The harsh, clicking sound of Krillian laughter filled the bridge of the Aegis, causing several officers to exchange puzzled glances. Captain Reyes maintained her composed expression, waiting for the alien commander to explain his amusement. "Impressive, Captain," the Krillian finally said, his laughter subsiding. "Most impressive indeed. You understand, of course, that I must verify your claims before proceeding." "Of course," Reyes replied smoothly. "Take all the time you need." The screen went dark again. Immediately, Rodriguez spoke up. "Captain, they're scanning the affected vessel intensively. Multiple sensor arrays from their other ships have redirected focus, and they're transmitting large data packets between ships," added Mibeki. "Encrypted, but the volume suggests detailed technical analysis." Reyes nodded. "As expected. Dr. Chen, are you ready for Phase 2? The science officer's fingers danced across his console. "Ready, Captain. On your mark." "Wait until they've had just enough time to convince themselves it was a coincidence or a malfunction," Reyes instructed. "Then target 2 more vessels, different classes if possible." For several tense minutes, the bridge crew watched as the Krillian fleet continued their scans and analysis. The affected vessel had fully stabilized, its engines now functioning normally. "They're concluding their scans," Rodriguez reported. "Energy signatures indicate they're powering weapon systems again." "Now, Dr. Chen," Reyes ordered. Chen activated his modified program. This time, 2 Krillian ships, a medium cruiser and their equivalent of a destroyer, experienced the same strange fluctuation in their engine cores. The disruption was slightly more pronounced, causing visible energy flickers along their hulls. "Incoming transmission," Mbeki announced, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. The Krillian commander appeared on screen again, his posture noticeably stiffer. "Your technology is unexpected," he admitted. "Our engineers confirm the quantum disturbance originated from your vessel despite no detectable energy beam or projectile." "As I said," Reyes replied calmly. "Now shall we discuss a more productive arrangement? One that doesn't involve threats to a civilian colony or attempts to board my ship." The Krillian's eyes narrowed. "The Krillian Dominion does not retreat from claimed territory." "I'm not asking you to retreat," Reyes countered. I'm proposing a collaborative solution, one that recognizes both our interests without requiring either side to lose face. This caught the alien's attention. All four eyes focused intently on Reyes. Explain. Nova Lumina has no strategic value to Earth beyond the lives of its colonists, Reyes said. Its location was chosen for scientific research on stellar formation in this sector. I propose a joint research initiative. Your scientists and ours, working together at Nova Lumina, sharing discoveries and benefits. The Krillian commander was silent for a moment, clearly considering this unexpected proposal. And why would we agree to this when we could simply take the planet? He asked, though his tone had lost some of its earlier aggression. Because the cost would be too high, Reyes answered simply. Even if you destroy the Aegis, which I assure you would not happen without significant losses to your fleet, you would face the full response of Earth's military within days, and every ship in our fleet carries the same quantum displacement technology. Your entire dominion would be vulnerable. On the Krillian flagship, Supreme Commander Vexthar turned away from the communication screen, addressing his senior officers who had gathered during the exchange. What do we know of these humans? He demanded. How is it possible they possess such technology? Science Director Krelnar stepped forward, her scales shifting color slightly in the nervous gesture of their species. Our intelligence on humans is limited, Supreme Commander. They are relatively new to interstellar travel but have advanced rapidly. There are rumors they discovered alien technology on their home planet, though this has never been confirmed. And this quantum displacement capability, can it truly do what she claims? The readings from our affected vessels are consistent with her description, Krelnar admitted reluctantly. The disruption occurred at the quantum level, within the containment fields. Our shields were completely irrelevant. Tactical Commander Zorval clicked his claws against his armor. An old warrior's habit when thinking. If they can target our engine cores without physical weaponry, traditional battle tactics are useless. We would be fighting an enemy that can disable us before we come within firing range. Unless she is bluffing, hissed Sub-Commander Drelvos. 3 ships experiencing minor fluctuations proves nothing. It could be an elaborate deception. Vexthar considered this, the valid point, but the risk if she is not bluffing. He turned back to the screen where Captain Reyes waited patiently. What guarantees do we have that this proposed collaboration is not simply a delay tactic until your reinforcements arrive? Reyes had anticipated this question. We will provide full specifications of our research objectives at Nova Lumina and agree to limits on military presence. In return, the Krillian Dominion will recognize Nova Lumina as a joint scientific outpost under neutral governance and withdraw all but an agreed-upon security contingent. And if we refuse these terms, Vexthar challenged. Reyes' expression remained neutral. Then I will demonstrate our quantum displacement technology on your flagship, Supreme Commander. Not on your engines this time, but on your life support systems. The bridge of the Krillian flagship fell silent. Vexthar felt his inner membranes contract with suppressed anger. And though he would never admit it, fear. This human captain had somehow identified him as the fleet commander without being told. What else did they know? You speak with great confidence for someone so outnumbered, Vexthar observed. Numbers become irrelevant when conventional warfare is transcended, Reyes replied. But I would prefer to be your ally rather than your adversary, Supreme Commander. Humanity has much to learn about the galaxy, and I suspect the Krillian Dominion has knowledge that would benefit us both. On the Aegis, Rodriguez leaned close to Sokolov. She's playing this perfectly, he whispered. They're actually considering it. Sokolov nodded, impressed by her captain's strategy. Instead of responding to the Krillian aggression with either submission or immediate counter-aggression, Reyes had changed the entire dynamic of the confrontation. After a tense silence, Vexthar spoke again. Your proposal has merit, Captain Reyes. I will consult with the Dominion Council. In the meantime, maintain your position and take no action against our fleet. Agreed, Reyes said. We await your response. As the communication ended, The bridge crew of the Aegis exchanged looks of cautious optimism. "Do you think they'll go for it?" Tekiva asked. Reyes moved back to her command chair, allowing herself to relax slightly for the first time since the confrontation began. "I think their commander is smart enough to recognize an opportunity when he sees one. They came here expecting easy prey or at least a traditional fight. We've shown them neither is the case." "But Captain," Chen said hesitantly, "our quantum displacement technology can't actually do what you claimed. We can create small localized disturbances using the drive's field generators, yes, but we can't target specific systems within their ships with that level of precision." Reyes smiled. "They don't know that. And by the time they figure it out, if they ever do, we'll hopefully have established a relationship that makes the truth irrelevant." "Brilliant bluff," Rodriguez said appreciatively. "But what happens when they call it?" "They won't," Sokolov interjected. "The risk is too high. Even a small chance that we can do what the captain claimed makes aggressive action too dangerous for them. And they've already seen enough to make the possibility credible." Reyes nodded in agreement. "Besides, what I proposed benefits them as well. They save face by establishing a presence at Nova Lumina without the cost of a conflict with Earth, and they gain access to scientific research they clearly value, or they wouldn't have targeted this system in the first place." "Incoming transmission," Mbeki announced suddenly. Text only this time. The message appeared on the main screen, translated from the Krillian language. "The Dominion Council has authorized preliminary acceptance of your proposal, pending formal agreement on security parameters and research protocols. We will withdraw our blockade to standard orbit positions and expect a delegation from your vessel to discuss terms within 6 hours. Supreme Commander Vexthar, Krillian Dominion Fleet." A cheer went up from several junior officers before they quickly composed themselves under Sokolov's stern glance. "It worked," Tekiva said, sounding almost surprised. "Diplomacy usually does when backed by strength and intelligence," Reyes replied. She stood, addressing the entire bridge. "This is just the beginning. Prepare a delegation team. Chen, Rodriguez, you're with me. Sokolov has command while we're away. And inform Nova Lumina that the situation is being resolved diplomatically." As the crew moved to comply with her orders, Rodriguez approached Reyes privately. "Permission to speak freely, Captain." "Always, Major. What you did today, convincing an unknown hostile species to negotiate rather than fight, potentially saving thousands of lives on both sides. This is why the Aegis needed someone like you in command." Reyes smiled, genuine warmth breaking through her professional demeanor for a moment. "The best victories aren't measured in ships destroyed or territory conquered, Major. They're measured in conflicts avoided and understanding gained." 6 hours later, as Captain Reyes led her delegation shuttle toward the Krillian flagship, she reflected on the day's events. Humanity had faced its first true test against an unknown aggressive species, and instead of responding with pure military force, they had found another way, a human way that combined intelligence, technology, and diplomacy. As the shuttle docked with the Krillian vessel, Reyes straightened her uniform one last time. The real work was just beginning. Understanding these Krillians, establishing protocols that would protect Nova Lumina, while satisfying Krillian territorial instincts, building a foundation for future relations. These were the true challenges. But as Supreme Commander Vexthar greeted her at the airlock, his four-eyed gaze now filled with cautious respect rather than contempt, Reyes knew they had already achieved something significant. The Krillians had expected humans to be either weak prey or predictable warriors. Instead, they had encountered something they didn't expect, a species that could think beyond the immediate battle to the greater strategic picture. In the void of space, 23 Krillian warships now orbited peacefully alongside the lone human vessel. And on the planet below, 10,000 colonists continued their lives, unaware of how close they had come to evacuation or worse. This, Reyes thought, was humanity at its best. Clever, resourceful, and able to find solutions beyond the obvious path of violence. "Welcome aboard the Dominion flagship Eternal Conquest, Captain Reyes," Vexthar said, using the formal tones of diplomatic greeting. "I believe we have much to discuss." "Indeed we do, Supreme Commander," Reyes replied with a respectful nod. "This is just the beginning."